Okay, we are
We
live.
are live.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Cut Fest 6 p.m. edition. We're a couple minutes behind schedule. We had a few technical difficulties lifting us off this evening, but we are on and we're ready to go. This is our 6 p.m. edition where we're looking at finance and education. We earlier this week we would have talked about scholarships, and scholarships is always an exciting topic because it's free money. But we do recognize that not everyone may be privy to a scholarship and not everyone may earn it even if they apply for one, or if you do get a scholarship, there's always a shortfall. And how do you finance the shortfalls? And as I said before, I am not a financial expert, even if I've navigated this firsthand as a pharma student myself. um, Things change. We need to know what is available now. Things that happen then may not be available now. So, to help me do this, I have employed the help of our financial partners this year for Cup Fest. And who will be on the floor in Barbados at the Lloyd Erskine Stanley First Center on Saturday and Sunday? So, we have RBC Royal Bank. We have Raquel who will be talking to us about products and services that RBC has. We know RBC is not only available in Barbados, they're available in certain parts of the Caribbean. And then we have a newer player to the fold. One thing I want to say, RBC has been part of CutFest since I believe it was 2014, and so they've been a steady hand with us as we promote education and help persons to get guidance on how to finance their education. So it's always great to have them here. But our newest player is Pace Digital, who is based here in Barbados. Pace Digital has some exciting options for young persons because while yes you look at the financing part, you want to have facilities to help you access money but also to build a credit history. So no matter which location you are, some of the knowledge here can help guide you when you do your research to see what's available in your own country. Ask questions about, feel free, send us your questions. For those located on Zoom, join us on Zoom. You have a Q&A or chat option located on your Zoom panel. And for those of you on Facebook that will be peeping in, feel free to put a comment in and I will get to them. Any questions you have, send them through there. Ask your questions now. These are financial experts, people. So no matter if you're in Jamaica and there's no Pace Digital, I'm certain you can ask Gail a question about what to look for, what to consider. She might be able to give you some tidbits of advice, and so will Raquel, representing RBC Royal Bank. So how we're going to do this, I'm going to start off with some questions so that Raquel and Gail can position themselves to talk to you generally about their products and services. So, a few things that are important for you to know when you're looking at education. There are some major costs that will be reoccurring every year. So, you have your tuition fees. Sometimes tuition fees may go up depending on the number of courses that you have, or is a general rule of thumb that sometimes they increase every year. For those of
Mm-hmm.
you that may be leaving your home country, you're going to have some residence expenses. So you might be living on campus or off campus. That comes at an expense too. Whether if you've left home or not, you still have maintenance costs, living costs, books and supplies. You might need to get a new phone. You might need to get a new laptop. Every course, it might be a particular book or extra kind of piece of equipment that you might need to get through. So you need to itemize these things. Some of these things may be one time expenses or reoccurring. And for especially those of you who may be going abroad, you have other expenses such as air travel.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to think about that. How am I going to get to these countries? How expensive is going to be? Will I be traveling back to and fro yearly? Can I afford to? How am I going to do all of this? So even if you get a scholarship that focuses on the tuition, you might still have other costs that you have to factor in. So ladies, we have to explain to persons how, if I'm engaging the bank, if I'm engaging an entity like Pace Digital, let's talk about products and services. Raka, I'm going to let you start off first and I'll go to Gail. Let's talk about products and services that you may have that persons can consider as
Mm-hmm.
they look at options.
Okay, Sheena, thank you so much. Thank you. Good evening to everyone who's on the call. It's really a pleasure to be here representing RBC as one of our main financial institutions here on the island, willing and able to assist you in this endeavor. So So basically, what I would first like to advise is that although we are here located in Barbados, RBC, we have a footprint in a brick or mortar footprint in a lot of our Caribbean territories. For example, we're located in the Dutch Caribbean. This consists of Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, St. Martin, and Saba. And we are also in the Northern Caribbean. We know up top we have the Bahamas, Cayman Islands, and Turks and Caicos. And right here close to home, Trinidad and Tobago. So we have options wherever you're located. We're there with our knowledgeable staff to assist. Okay, so as we're alluding to today, we're really trying to speak to how we can finance the tertiary education. And I'm thinking that this is a really big, I mean, apart from mortgages, this is also what's called a demand tertiary education loan. This is also another big major financial investment that we as parents and guardians that we embark on to ensure that our children, our students are really prepared and equipped for the wider world when they've completed their studies. So I'm just going to tell you a bit about what the demand tertiary education loans, what they consist of. And it's basically to provide financing to new and existing credit-worthy clients. And it's designed to assist individuals who are full-time students only in financing the cost of tertiary education. And as Sheena said, living expenses and other maintenance costs during the course of that study. So we have some other ways that we can provide this financing and how you can qualify, but I'm going to just stick a pin in it here and see if Sheena has any specific questions pertaining to demand tertiary education so that you on the line, you guys on the line can better understand how you qualify and what can be used to qualify you. Yeah, I think you're
Sorry,
on mute.
I just unmuted myself. So, well, we'll move to Pace to let them talk about their also just tell the generally products and services available to students, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty about
Yes.
how persons can go about seeking financing from you guys. All right.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, ladies. Well, Payce Digital Family Cape Shepherd Card, better known across Barbados as Cape Shepherd and Company Limited, and our product, Cape Shepherd Card. We have been around probably about 40 years or so in some form of credit facility. Obviously, in the last 20 years into 10 years, 5 years, we've been more streamlined, and now we offer a actual Visa card. We would have transitioned in 2016 from a proprietary store card that most persons in Barbados, especially you're growing up with your mommy and your granny and your dad, everyone had a Cape Shepherd card, and we were able through strategic partnership with Visa International to transition to a Visa card. And in transitioning to a Visa card, we continue to evolve the product and look at ways and products to fit our cardholders and their needs. And once we started evolving those products, obviously the younger demographic, as Raquel would have alluded to, persons who are now looking at tertiary education and how to help finance that aspect of a life investment, and also to help those younger people to manage credit and to teach that aspect of it. And therefore, while our product is young, it is in the last 2 years we have evolved this product. It was because we saw the need for our younger people, the younger demographic within our portfolio, to start their credit history in a right way. I know that there are many stories out there about reaching the age of 18 and being able to get a credit card product and they just saying, oh, wow, I have a credit card. But then the realization that it is a responsibility that goes with that and how to help manage that. So our products are young, but they are they are really streamlined and designed with those younger people in mind.
Thank you, Gail. Okay, so I'm going to set out the scenario. For most parents, we have persons who may be getting financing via their parents. Then we have persons who may be individuals that are working and they're seeking themselves to upgrade. Now, whether they're going to study locally or abroad, they're combined together. You have products and services that can assist them. Now, let's talk about the tuition part, the big things that could be over $10,000 plus. Now, I'm a mom. My daughter is going, or my son is going to whichever college or university, say in Canada, for example. Tuition is about maybe 20,000 Canadian a year. And I might have some savings. I don't want to use all my savings. This program is either 3 or 4 years in length. I need to get some financing to help me shoulder this. What steps do I need to take that will allow me to obtain financing? So if I'm coming to you, Raquel, what do I do? I may get a low scholarship that's a couple $1,000s off, but I still got all of this to finish pay off.
Yes.
How will I set myself up to you to say, okay, what do you have that can help me finance, and then how can I qualify for this amount?
Excellent question, Sheena. To help defray the cost, that's why we're here. You don't want to deplete your savings that you've worked so hard your entire life to build up, So you just visit us, and although the beneficiary of the loan will be the student ultimately, this product really targets the demand tertiary education product, targets the parent or guardian, who will in essence be the primary borrower. Okay? So they must be pre-qualified to service the full amount. And what happens is that once you provide your 2 pieces of valid picture identification and your proof of income, which is in the form of a job letter and a recent pay slip, based on that information, we calculate exactly what you qualify for. But the good thing is that you can obtain these funds in a drawdown fashion. So each year we have stage one. Stage one is where blended payments are not taken into effect as yet. Blended payments only take effect 6 months after the student has graduated. So basically what I want to say in a nutshell is that interest only, and we all know that for principal and interest is usually the smaller out of the two amounts. So for the course of study is interest only payments, and then 6 months after graduation, as I advised, is when the actual blended payments commence. So once you qualify, you don't have to worry that, oh man, we have so much in terms of that monthly payment, I can't really manage this. Interest only is the amount. Alternatively, we have a lot of clients who prepare for when there's their child or guardian, when they actually qualify and get a scholarship and they need additional funds, they have mortgages and they can use the equity in their mortgage. So when you get a mortgage, just funds that build up and build up, funds that build up, and you can use, instead of having 2 facilities running, which is a mortgage and a demand tertiary loan, you can use the funds that you've generated in that mortgage to then borrow funds and pay the same amount that you're paying monthly for that existing mortgage. So that's the beauty of having a mortgage, having that type of investment and using the funds, or what we call equity, within that mortgage to service the debt called or the tertiary loan. So that is another beautiful way to repay the debt. And it's actually the more convenient and easier way if you already have a mortgage. Alternatively, you have the unsecured loans that you can qualify for 8 times your salary. So if you're earning a monthly salary of, let's say, $4,000, 8 times that unsecured is yours. You don't have to inject any funds or anything like that. You don't have to inject any funds. You just Bring the two pieces of ID, the job letter, proof of the income, and we qualify you for 8 times your salary without you having to inject $1. So we have a few options, and we can discuss that more in detail when you visit your one of our locations.
All right. So basically, in a nutshell, I could come and get a separate facility that is set up like a student loan. I service that
Mm-hmm.
loan, only pay interest
Yes,
payments for the period of my daughter or son's period of study. And then the full principal and interest loans will come into effect 6 months after they would have completed their
exactly.
studies.
That's correct. That's correct. So at least you have the peace of mind that those payments don't kick in. And guess what? When that student graduates, they now help take responsibility for their education, that the degree that they would have just obtained by helping mommy or daddy repay for that debt when they've
How can
obtained.
parents contractually get them to do that? So that sounds like something like a feel good conscience to make sure that
Right.
when you come back, because some not all children have a conscience.
No,
That's
they
mommy and
forget.
daddy problem. I got what I wanted. So
Correct.
parents get a lawyer. Um,
I know, right? Sign on the dotted line.
to sign on the dotted line. But that is one way. Then the other way, suppose students do get a scholarships, but there's a shortfall. Parents that own their homes can
Hmm.
they can use the equity,
That's correct.
and then that one is that's the secure one. But then there's
That is secured.
a
Hmm.
unsecure one where depending on your salary, you can
Hmm.
have a certain amount based on the
Right.
salary. So
Without
parents
injecting.
without
Hmm.
inject right. So parents, you have options that you could decide which one suits your situation. So
Correct.
so definitely check out your local RBC branch if RBC is available in your territory. Definitely
Hmm.
check them out and see. Now, sometimes parents don't want to borrow all from the bank though, and then there are other daily or maintenance costs that their son or daughter will have to think about. Now, Gail, if for those of you who may be in Barbados, whether you're attending UE or you're going abroad, there are some incentives on some of the products you guys offer that will allow them to access financing for daily stuff or books or so forth while helping them to build credit history. Can you talk about those two options, please?
Certainly, certainly. So we have the student smart card, the for persons, students between 18 and 21. Here you will still have a guarantor attached to the account, but primarily the student will have a credit card. The limit on that card is $500, and it is a starter card, hence the limit, and a repayment perhaps around $30 or so a month on that product. So for those persons, especially those who are here in Barbados and your student, whether it is your child or your ward, they are going to sixth form or at university, and you are accustomed to giving them an allowance anyways. You can decide that you can take out the student smart card, and you would assist with making those payments on a monthly basis. But at least here you are teaching two things: responsibility and to have that actual product in your hand as a trial basis, because some of our students, they might start at UE, but then for the first degree, but then they go on for their masters and so on. So there, in that aspect, you are actually teaching them how to be responsible. Then you'll be able to do some tweaking as you go along, but at least it is a starter card. And with that product, we also add a financial seminar, again, to just emphasize some of the ways that you manage that credit. Because if you can manage that $500 responsibly as you move on, then at least you have some building blocks to work with.
Thank you, Gail. So for young people, you can start to manage and learn have financial literacy.
Mhm.
And trust me, when you really need to start earlier, because adulting is difficult. So if you can get
Yes, it
certain habits
is.
into practice from young, then there are things that you would be accustomed to when you really get into full adulting and take on and shoulder more financial risk and investment. So I have a question, first question from our audience. How do you go about actually using property or your home as equity? This is from Ayana.
Okay, I can help here. Hi, Ayana. Okay, so let's say I'm just going to give you a bit of a scenario. Let's say that you have a mortgage with a balance of roughly 300,000, okay? And you would have originally borrowed, let's say 500,000 for the purchase of your home. The equity in that property then is the 500,000 minus the 300,000. You have $200,000 in equity. You've already repaid the bank $200,000. You can utilize some of that equity to then go forward and apply for however much the course of study is going to cost, utilize some of those funds to then get funding for the education. So once we get a current valuation, which we have a certified list of appraisers here at RBC, they visit to your home and they get maybe you get a valuation on your property, and based on that value, then we write the application for the amount that you intend to borrow, that you would like to borrow, and then you get approval, and we try to match it, and it's going to have the same repayment maturity date as the existing facility that you have. So you don't go past it. It's if you want to borrow more funds, then we have to go the legal route. But with that amount of equity, I don't think any course of study really surpasses 200,000, unless we're studying to be an astronaut slash surgeon slash, but normally within reason, 200,000 should cover that entire course of study. So basically, as I said, the requirement for to commence the process, the application process, is the two pieces of valid picture identification and your proof of income. And then we get our list, one of our appraisers, to then visit your site to then get the property's value. And then we go from there. But once you have that equity built up in there, it makes it so much easier for you to get that approval, because the payment is usually the same or thereabouts for the monthly payment for the mortgage. It's just you'll be using the equity from that existing mortgage. Not sure if that sheds some light on your question.
Does that shed light for you, Raquel? I hope it. Okay, so what if the mortgage? She has a follow-up question. What if the mortgage is already paid?
Oh, if the mortgage, okay, if the mortgage is already paid, then we have no equity. We don't have any equity there. So if you coming forward using your home as security now to apply for a secured facility, a fully secured facility. So we're no longer using the equities. You're coming for new financing, but it's going to be secured financing because you'll be using your home as security.
So if the home was $500,000 and she paid off $500,000, that means that she can get a facility up to the amount of her home.
Usually it's up to 80%, 80% of the
80%
value.
of the value.
Mm-hmm.
So then
Yes.
if there's an issue on payback, you take the home.
Oh, no, it's not. It doesn't happen like
I'm
that.
just
It
asking
doesn't
because
happen like that.
you gotta educate me too, because I'm
That's a
not a
valid
finance
question,
person.
though. That's a valid question. But at RBC, we're not in the business of taking people's homes. No, no, no.
Okay.
We have a discussion, and in
Uh-huh.
cases, because this is life, we just came out of COVID, um,
Right.
kind of, sorta, and we know that things happen, life happens, and that's where you reach out to your officer, your
Right.
your 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 service professional, and just have that discussion. Have a discussion that we can refinance and reconfigure the how your facility is set up, so that we can
Right.
then have work with you to have payments, instead of, let's just say, okay, there we go, we're coming for your home. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work
Okay.
that way. You have that
Okay.
discussion.
Okay, no problem. So is it better
Yeah.
that it sounds to me having equity is attractive as opposed to having the full thing paid off.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
I'm learning a few things here. I want to
Yep,
ask a
that's why
question.
we're here. Mhm.
Gail used a word that I need a definition for. So, guarantor. What is a guarantor and who could be a guarantor, please?
Right. So in our world, and well, Raquel, she is clearly the professional where it comes to the figures and those mortgages and so on. For us, we process payments. We are in the card business. For us, a guarantor will be someone who would stand responsible for the repayment of the credit that we offer via the Payce digital card. And for this particular product, which is the student smart card, it is, again, it could be a family member or a mentor, someone who knows the person, knows the student, and want to ensure that they continue on their educational journey.
So for the student card, a parent, a granny, even an auntie, they can stand as a guarantor in your case. All right.
Yes, please. And I should also say to you, Shana, is that one of the things I want to mention, there are some persons out there, they are students, but they might be doing a little part-time job. And we take that into account here, because if you're doing a part-time job and you're getting like $125 a week or something like that, we also take that into consideration with this application. And that is why we structure the payments the way we have. And on a payment of $500, we are talking $30 a month in terms of repayment.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Gail. I have a question. So I know we talking about people producing pay slips and job letters, but we have parents who are self-employed gainfully. And so when you have someone who is gainfully self-employed, I hate that word though, because basically their business pays them a salary, but I guess for lack of a better term, self-employed. And self-employed sometimes comes with a very negative connotation when you're facing financial institutions. So what would they give you, for, especially if they're self-employed, they have a home, they have established credit. What would be, they can't give themselves a job letter. So what would be the type of documentation that you would accept from a self-employed person coming to seek financing?
Right. So we would require to show that trail of proof that you are actually generating an income at some level. We would need to see, or we ask for statements, whether it is a bank statement in your name, or if you have got, registered your business and you've set up some kind of banking facility with the business. We are happy to accept at least 6 months of statements where we can consistently see
that is income,
that there is income, because you appreciate that while we understand self-employed, we also are in a business, and we would still need to be able to manage that risk.
But there's some self-employed persons that making more money than a salaried, just putting it out there. But maybe their paperwork might not be as formal as
and I do appreciate that. And I think, COVID has taught us a lot as well in the way how we manage these types of applications. For us at Payce Digital, we've always been flexible in the sense that we speak with our cardholders. We understand where they're coming from, and we work with them. Even if you come for one thing, you might say, well, I need 5,000 to start. But we will say, okay, let's start it a little lower, and then we work to build that trust as we see how you manage the product. And I'll tell you, for us, so once you are consistently making those minimum payments, you don't even have to ask for increases. We often increase credit limits just to show good faith.
So I gotta come to Payce Digital then myself.
Of course.
See what you can do for me. Okay.
And
in the case of the bank, Raquel, like a self-employed, because self-employed people are scared of you guys. the banks. So tell us
You
what,
don't need
tell
to
us,
be.
okay, help us to alleviate that fear and anxiety. Like, what do we need to give you?
Okay, well, it's not as stringent as in past years, to be honest. We
Okay.
are pretty flexible now, and we've had some recent credit policy changes, which clients have really, really shown how it's been received very, very openly. And basically, if you're self-employed, the one thing you must note though is that startup businesses do not qualify. Okay,
Okay.
so the minimum tenure is actually 2 years of business operation. So we're just gonna that's
Oh,
full
that's
disclosure. We're gonna
decent
just put that
though.
over there.
That's
That's
that's that's
decent, yeah.
that's decent. Yes. Okay.
Exactly. So the 2 years, most recent 2 years, we need any proof. We have need proof of the operation. So basically, we have any of the following, which is business income tax returns or an audited financial statements. Those are the two things we need. You must be filing income taxes because that way we can see your profit, your losses, and we can see what you actually balance out at. So we can see what you're earning. Okay,
Okay.
so it's
I
not
know
only
businesses
profits
that
that we
keep two
take into
sets of
account.
books. Not two.
Exactly. Exactly. Integrity all the way. Integrity all the way. So just 2 years, most two recent years income tax returns or
Right.
assessments
Okay.
and an audited financial statement. So we have persons who have their books audited by a well-known accountant, so we
Okay.
can make use of that person's services and we're good to go from there. Yeah,
Okay.
those incorporation documents are standard because we need proof of the registration of the company as well. So
Right.
then, right, so that is another thing that we need, the
Okay.
registration documents.
No problem. All right.
Yes.
So self-employed parents, there you two don't think that you should run from the banks up there. You can put your documentation, but you have to have your business in order and your paperwork in order and be
Mm-hmm.
paying the government their money. And so make your legitimate obligations and make that visible so the banks can see. I have a couple questions here. The first one is, can students access a credit card through RBC?
Yeah, so good question. We had a student card in the past for $500 minimum, and we found that a lot of the students who were able to benefit from it were from the University of the West Indies. However, since that time, since we now have the Visa Platinum card and what's not, even just the regular Visa Gold and Visa Classic credit cards, what happens is that parents who already have credit cards, most of us do, what they can then do is something as simple as adding their ward or their child on as an authorized user.
Mm-hmm.
So no financials are necessary for that. So we don't
Okay.
have a student card anymore per se. We've evolved now to having students have the eligibility of being an authorized user. So whatever the parent's limit is, they share that limit with the parent. So all that is required, two pieces of ID and proof of address. That's it. No financials are necessary
Mhm.
because the student is not going to be financial. They're a student. So we're not asking for additional funds either. It's simply to add that student on as an authorized user. So while they're abroad, the parent has the peace of mind that, hey, they have access to funds.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's as simple as that. So no
And
student card per se, but they can be an authorized user.
okay, and if they can be added to their credit card as an authorized user, can they also access benefits of the card, such as miles to purchase their
Mo-
air
Most
tickets?
definitely, most definitely. So the parent would be the primary applicant. So then they in turn use those points from the Visa Platinum card as cash back. They can use the funds to pay back towards the limit or the balance on the card. They can use it to book flights, accommodation overnight if the student has to overnight for whatever reason, flight got delayed, and we can use it for emergency purposes. And should the student, sorry, be abroad and for some reason their card got misplaced or stolen or whatever, or has been compromised, for the Visa Platinum, it's FedEx directly to wherever they are studying in the world. It's FedEx to them free of charge. And that's part of the insurance that the card has.
Okay,
That's
great.
the Visa Platinum. Yeah.
All right. I have a follow-up question to the self-employed. So, does the bank have a prescribed list of accountants that person self-employed need to use, or they can just have someone who's certified and have the credentials to show they're certified accountant?
Right. Once they're reputable, that's all we require. but they
Okay.
must look right, because you can tell when information is doctored.
Mm-hmm.
It may, yes, there is sometimes it may not be plain to the naked eye, but you can tell sometimes in most cases when documents are doctored.
Mm-hmm.
But we prefer for it to be audited by a reputable accountant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a question on Facebook. So I hope that has helped clarify the question for you. All right. So when you talk about, I want to ask a question about security and what technically is considered security. And so, Gil, you want to answer first? What's security in your mind? Well, from
So
Payce's
yes,
perspective.
in our world, we don't necessarily use the word security because it is more tied to credit. So once we have approved a person and given them a credit limit, we assess them and we assess the risk based on their credit worthiness. They would provide the job letter, or in the case of self-employed, the statement so that we can see and trace income, proof of ID, which would be a valid government issued ID, proof of address, utility bills, and so on. And that based on that and our application, we do have an application for our cards, which is completed online. It can be done digitally. It can be done by collecting an application form, from either of our offices here at Haggett Hall or Bridgetown, completing that, and that would have a table of expenses, your income, and so on. And then we assess that information and apply a credit limit to the individual. So in our world, we more go with qualifying for the credit limit, since the credit is a revolving credit and that credit can be increased. And if you want at some point in time, if you feel that you need to decrease it, which we don't, we seldom have we seldom see that happening. But at the point of security, it is more qualifying for a credit limit, which is a revolving credit limit.
What's the maximum limit they can get on the Payce?
Okay, so again, let's just go back really quickly in terms of the products. The Student Smart Card, that limit is $500. But again, with that particular product, based on the guarantor's eligibility and the student requirements, we can see where the credit limit will be pitched at. The second product is our Young Professional Card, and this is a brand new product that we are now bringing into the market, and we will definitely have it on show for those who will be coming through CupFest over the next weekend. And this is a product for persons 18 to 35, and we do appreciate that there are some young professionals who are fully qualified. They want to continue their education, and this again might be their first credit product. And the requirements, a job letter, and if you are self-employed, at least 6 months of bank statements to show income coming in, proof of identification, government issued, proof of address, utility bills within a 3-month span from date of presentation. And that is basically the process to be assessed for a Young Professional Card. With that, we start at $2,500, and there is no ceiling. Again, it depends on the eligibility and the student's requirement, or the young professional requirement at that point in time.
And it's
this
revolving. is revolving,
This is
right?
revolving. And this
Right.
is not just for the academia type student, the skilled professional who might want to go and take a course, or again, for they've seen a course internationally that they can do online. Again, this is a product for a young professional, whether it's carpentry, there might be a technique, a special technique that they've seen that can add value to what they are already offering in their suite of products. This is the card for you, the young professional. Again, we cater between 18 to 35. And after 35, then we have our classic card.
Right. And they can transition. So it's like a stacking,
Yes,
like
please.
starting from student, then to young
That's correct.
professional, then to full adulting mode. So it walks with you throughout your life stage as an adult. So
That's correct.
right.
And therefore you become a part of the K Shepherd family.
And you build a credit history along with it, which is something that if a lot of us had known earlier, would have or been privy to having tools or products to start early like that, we would have benefited from it, as opposed to having to smack dab into adult and having to do it one time. So it's like a nice transition.
It is a transition, and to Raquel's point, life happens. So it is not, again, just if life happened along the way, whether it's to the student, the young student or the young professional. Again, it is building that relationship and working with you. So it's not just kicking them to the curb, but once we start working with you and we work through the issue that you're having, and we get you back into credit health, it is maintaining that relationship throughout.
And what's the age what age will a student be eligible for the student card? And then and I know the young professional is 18 to 35, but
we start at 18 as well. We start at 18 as well for the student, 18 to 21, because we appreciate that particular card might appeal to full-time students.
Right.
And that's why the guarantor is important.
Cool. Okay, great. Hold on, that was a question on Facebook. All right, so Raquel, I have a question for you. So to study in Canada with a co-op option, so a co-op is like a work term where you get paid.
Okay.
Right? Will the student be able to deposit their salary from working while studying in their RBC account? So I think this is the assumption that RBC in their locale is connected to RBC if they're in Canada. So can you explain that? Yeah.
Okay. So that's Royal Bank of Canada in Canada, and we are the subsidiary RBC Royal Bank Barbados Limited here on island. So in the Caribbean, we are not connected to the Royal Bank itself there. So you won't be able to access your account in branch there. However, if you have an account here in Barbados and you have a Visa debit card from your account here in Barbados while you're overseas in Canada, you can access the account here in Barbados. However, if you go into a location there, the RBC there is not going to have any of your information because it's not directly tied to your RBC account in where you reside, where you're from.
Right. So for persons going abroad, obviously it's still recommended though that when you get there that you set up an account and you have other options of banks out there, and then you can wire money from your local account to the account you have in your host country, and then you can operate from there. But there are other transactional costs and different products and services that will allow parents to still send money smartly. So your credit card, if you're on your parents' card, I know I've heard parents putting money on their credit card and then letting the student know, the money on, and they can swipe and do or take off a cash advance, which some people might not like to do because of the interest or the fees. But it
Mm-hmm.
saves you having to go on the line at the bank sometimes to wire that money.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think about products available to you and use them smartly to your advantage so that the
Mm-hmm.
transactional costs associated with foreign currency
Minimize.
transactions, you try
Yes.
to minimize
Nice,
them
correct.
as
Mm-hmm.
much as possible because it can add up. So
Mm-hmm.
I know parents use the credit cards as a way to send money and then they take off that one time take off and then they manage that from their end. And then for parents to having a local credit card from your home and letting your son or daughter go as opposed to getting the credit card from up there, do the farmer because you get to see the transactions while they're out there and how they're spending
Yes.
the money. So
Exactly.
track.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Track expenses and be like, hello, what
Correct.
you doing?
Correct.
Because it's not just the big costs like the tuition, and the on-campus housing you have to think about, but it's
Yeah.
the maintenance
Miscellaneous.
too.
Uh-huh.
Those
Mm-hmm.
the whole like buying
Yes.
buying like their toiletries,
Mm-hmm.
certain everyday items, food and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So you have to compartmentalize, okay, for these expenses, we're gonna use this.
Right.
For
Yeah,
this, for this
Right.
type of expense, you have to
most
part it
definitely.
out. You're not going to get it
Exactly.
all together from one, but you have to see what's available, how much from the bank you want to borrow, um,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not you use. I think I'm frozen. Am I frozen?
Yeah, you are.
Awesome, but we can hear you.
Oh,
I
yes,
am.
we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Hear me?
And
Okay, good. Okay. Um,
if I can say, Shayna, in terms of what, and I think you're making an excellent point, and that's why I alluded into the fact that life is happening. Now it seems like everybody is
it's going. Yeah.
frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, life is happening, and to help to cross some of the bumps in the road. One of the things with our student smart card or any of our products, our card products, is that there is our mobile app, which is the digital form of your card. And once you have downloaded that app on your device, your mobile device, whether you're here in Barbados or the student is overseas, you are able to see in real time what is happening, in terms of transactions. You don't have to wait until the end of the month with the statement then to go through, oh, this is happening. There's some things you might be able to nip in the bud
Mm-hmm.
to say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I think you've had enough Starbucks for the month or for the
Exactly.
week.
Exactly. Well
You
said,
know,
Gail. Well said.
yeah. So to be
Yes.
able to see those transactions in real time, and then again, it's about learning and teaching them. I wish we had some of those lessons along the way to say, okay, okay, stop at this point. Let's go back to the budget. And when you're seeing trends, to be able to say, okay, I'm limiting you today, or for this week, to one activity or one feel good item, whatever it might be. And that is a
Mm-hmm.
feature within the Payce digital mobile app, that although you are apart, yet you are connected, and there's that interconnectivity that you can reach out to your ward or your child and help give
Exactly.
guidance, to
Yeah.
help give guidance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to say something, Raquel?
Yes, actually, on the heels of that, as you mentioned just now, Gail, you alluded to budgeting. So if we have some parents on the line or guardians on the line who are not too keen on credit, we also have the transactional side of things, huh?
Mhm.
So for those persons who really want to manage how the spending is done, what I recommend is that you open a joint account with your child or ward, and tied to those joint accounts, you have the Visa debit, which you can use anywhere in the world. So that way, you don't have to worry about credit and going over the credit limit. Whatever is on that joint account that you've set up for the education expenses, that client has access to the account here in Barbados using that Visa debit. So to me, that helps too with the management of expenses and funds daily. So that's not
So
another alternative.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's all about planning. It's all about knowing. So if you
Yes.
put all the context together, we've been the last couple of weeks showcasing schools from all across the world. This is an important juncture for many people, both parents and students alike, whether they are going to be pursuing a bachelor's or master's or so forth. Now you have your options. This is the time to see which ones are in your price range, whether it's local, regional, or international. You are having your options before you and making those decisions. This is the time now where you measure up and do comparative costs and then see, okay, what is manageable, what is not. Obviously, you have your dream options. You have your middles or safety schools, how whatever serves you. And then once you've decided, you move forward, you apply, and then you get your requisite offers and you make your decision. But don't start that planning in the meantime as you go through this process. Some of you may be lucky enough to get a scholarship to help bring down the cost a bit, but obviously there's always that shortfall. And then in managing that shortfall, or whether it's the full cost, these are some options before you. Even if some of these options are not in your country, this could be used as a benchmark or a
Benchmark.
reference or a guide. So that you can have maybe something from the bank, something from a credit facility like Payce to manage the maintenance, and then maybe the bank to take care of some of the bigger costs. You might not be going for a full degree. You might be going for an online course, a simple course. So maybe you don't need the bank. You can have a facility that gives you a revolving fund, that what Payce has. So, and you pay by module, that can work for you. So remember, education comes in different forms and fashion. It's not always a traditional degree. It could be a 6-month course, a 2-month course, or a 3-month course. So think about the options available in your locale. We brought you 2 partners today that have different types of products and services available for you to help plan. So on our final parting, I want both Raquel and Gail think about this question. What advice would you give to parents looking to finance their child's education, like in the final analysis?
Okay, I'll go first if you don't mind, Gail. That's okay? Okay, so basically, what I think is the most pertinent information to have is to just prepare. Preparation is key. Once you have in your mind that you have a child, you know that they're coming of age and you can see where their interest lies. Because not everyone is an academic. You also have vocational courses, but once you can see that there's that keen interest and your child or ward really wants to pursue and embark on higher education, just prepare for that so that they don't feel as though you fail them, for want of a better word. So just have that life net there. They start the preparation, get everything, get that ball rolling, and even if it has to come to just getting some financial advice, so that the lead up, you know exactly what is required so it doesn't come as a surprise to you. So just prepare and then reach out to one of our knowledgeable sales professionals here at RBC. I am located at the Charleston Park branch. My name is Raquel Holder. So we're here in the Culloden area, which is in the outskirts of town with parking and everything. So you just come, pop on through, and we'll have that discussion with you on how we can better prepare you for that life step.
As a follow on to what Raquel just shared, uh, I am really pleased by extension Payce Digital to be partnering with the Student Center, and that partnership with the Student Center that can give the kind of guidance based on the history of the Student Center and be able to point persons in the right direction to minimize frustration out there, persons who just don't know how to go about finding the right school, the right direction, how to do the financing and so on. That Shana, you're offering a critical service that can connect so many people together with the right areas, and whether it's financing or just are just counseling how to prepare mentally for some type of higher education, or whether it is higher education in terms of a degree or a master's, or if it is just a course, a skilled course. So I would direct persons to, and as you position, Shana, to be accessible by a number of people and in various areas, so that you then can be the pointer to help connect persons. In addition to that, once you've done that, Payce Digital, we are here, our call center 539-4444. And if you want to connect with me directly, I'm Gail Welch. I'm the Business Development Officer for Payce Digital. And my email address is very simple: businessdevelopment@pacedigital.com. And we look forward to being with Shana, and to meet many of you who will be passing through next weekend for Cup Fest. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you ladies for your time. I know it's late, it's after hours. Thank you for staying on and being part of this session. Thank you for all those persons who took the time to come on. Thank you for the questions on Facebook. Our job here at the Student Center, we have a platform that we help you to make career sense out of higher education. Education, no matter what form, is coming in, whether it's highly technical, highly skilled. Everything is highly skilled these days. There are options. You have to customize your education to suit you, and finance fuels your ability to access the type of education you want for yourself, be it a degree, a diploma, certificate, just a general course. It doesn't matter. Education is education. It doesn't look the same way for everybody. It is very customizable, whether you study locally, regionally, or abroad. I know people know us for the abroad part, but a lot of our students that use our services are staying at home. They just need guidance on what options might be suitable for them. And financing might not always be a huge $100,000. It could be a couple $100, a couple thousand. Our job is to point you to the people who can help you. We are not financial experts, but we are there to point you in the right direction. So I want to really thank Raquel and Gail for your time this evening. For those of you who are lucky enough to be in Barbados as we resume back to in-person Cup Fest, this is our first in-person since March 2020. We are excited. We will be at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center on Saturday and Sunday, 11 to 2 p.m. and then 3 to 6 p.m. daily. Please pop on by the RBC desk. They have a booth. Payce will also have a booth. Pop by and find out what are the offerings. If you are in a different country, Cup Fest is online. This is part of Cup Fest Online. Hopefully we can get to the other countries at some point as we now come out of this 2-year pandemic, which had us hunkered down for a bit. Let us know where you might want to see a Cup Fest someday. Follow us on Instagram, the Student Center. We're on Facebook, the Student Center as well. Join us on Facebook or Instagram. Or you want to follow me, the Caribbean College Planner, on Instagram at the Caribbean College Planner. You can follow me there. I only started that page just a couple months ago. I'm still getting into this Instagramming thing. So follow me there as I do my daily job is helping persons to find, apply, and enroll in their chosen school and program. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening. Continue to stay safe. Bye to everyone on Facebook. And we're back tomorrow. We have Waterloo tomorrow at 12. We have Dalhousie University tomorrow at 6. If these are schools you're interested in, sign on back to the regular school program. See you this weekend for those of you in Barbados.